Hello, sports fans and football fans, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone. This is my annual Thanksgiving Day Strat-O-Matic football game. Today we're going to be doing the 1972 Detroit Lions, who always play on Thanksgiving Day, and they will be hosting the 1972 New York Giants. Now, the Lions in real life were in 1972 were 8-5-1, I believe, and the Giants, I think, were 8-6. So we've got two evenly matched teams here. The defenses for Detroit, their defense was poor against the run and poor against the pass. And the Giants were average to poor against passes and average to poor against runs. So you got an average to poor defense versus a poor defense, which is an even matchup again. I'll go over the offenses as we get to them. Again, we've got the specialized dice that I use. Let me see here if I can get them in the screen there. One is the whether there was an offensive or defensive penalty, and whether the defense, I called the play and then I rolled the dice, and whether the defense was right or wrong on their guess. And if it's in X, they were wrong, and if it's the word right, they were right. And there is a question mark on the dice, and if there's a question mark, we will refer to a chart that I have that corresponds with the down and distance at the time. If you know how I've done recent games, I move the clicker to spots every single time. Doesn't matter whether it's a running play, whether it's a passing play, whether it's an incomplete pass, whether it's a complete pass, none of that matters. I just move it to every single play except on kicks. And that usually gives me about the approximate time of a game. That sort of thing. So I apologize again. You can't see the cards. You can't see the dice. You're just going to have to trust that I'm not lying about what the results are. But you will see the movement of the marker on the field and the movement of the time as we are in the first quarter of this game, and the Giants are going to kick off to Detroit. So Detroit is receiving the kick, and we'll get underway with that. So the kick by the Giants, and the Giants kicker is, let's see, Pete Gogolak in 1972. He gets a 7. Wait a minute. Let's see. Yeah. 7 is to the 7-yard line, number 1 back. So Detroit starts at their 7. And the return, we'll get the return. Number 1 back on the kickoff return is a 9. That's 21 yards. So they're out to the 28. So the Lions will start 1st and 10 at their own 28. Time didn't move on that because it was just the kickoff. It was a kick. So let's go over the Lions offense. The Lions will have Greg Landry at quarterback, the Greg Landry. He completed 50% of his passes in 1972 for 2,066 yards. The fullback will be Steve Owens. The halfback will be Altie Taylor. At tight end, you've got Charlie Sanders. At split end, you'll have Ron Jesse. And at the flanker is Larry Walton. They're going to come out first thing, and they're going to go long. They're just going to go long to the flanker on the very first play of the game. So let's see. There is no penalty on the play, and they were right. So it's an 8 on the long pass defense of the Giants, and that is going to be a receiver. So we've got receiver, and The throw was to the flanker, and that is Larry Walton. Larry Walton 6 is incomplete. So that is going to bring us to second. That's a play, and that's going to bring us to 2nd and 10. 2nd and 10, they're going to go end run with the halfback. So the halfback is Alty Taylor. They'll try an end run. It's a possible defensive penalty, and they were right. 7 end run on the New York defense is 2 yards. But let's see if there's a defensive penalty on New York. That is a 9, and that is opponent offsides. So the Lions were offsides. That's going to be a 1st and 15. Or 2nd and 15. It's going to be a 2nd and 15 now for the Lions. They will go off tackle with the fullback. And that's going to be a 6, and they were wrong. Or no, a 7. And they were wrong on the fullback's card. The fullback is Steve Owens. Off tackle 7 is 17 yards. He breaks it out 2, 10, and 5. So now the Lions have a 1st down at the 40-yard line. A nice run right there by Steve Owens. He completely fooled the Giants. They didn't think that was coming. Now we're going to do a flat pass to the tight end. The tight end is going to be Charlie Sanders. It is indeed Charlie Sanders. That is a 10. There's a possible defensive penalty, and they were right, but it's on the defensive card. Let's see what it would be. 10 flat pass is only 2 yards. Let's see if there's a defensive penalty on the Giants. That is a 5, and that is going to be offsides. The Giants are offsides, so that's going to be 5 yards and a 1st and 5 for the Lions. They're going to go end run with the halfback, and again, the halfback is Alty Taylor. He gets an 8, and they were wrong. 8 end run wrong is 0 yards. So, they have a 2nd and 12 coming up. The Lions do. And again, also I want to point out, I didn't go over this before, but once we get to the end, like of one set here, you can see there's 2 sets of times here. Once we get to the end of one set, that's the end of 1 quarter. And then it goes back the other way, and then that's the half. So anyway, we are going to go... Oh, you know what? I was supposed to only go 1. All right, that's right. That's right. So I was wrong. I don't move. I'm not supposed to move at 2. I'm supposed to move at 1. So there's been 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe, yeah, 4. We'll say it's about there. So, all right. I'm supposed to move at 1 tick on every actual play other than a kick. So, and again, once we get to the end here, that is 1 quarter. The Lions on 2nd and 5 are going to, I think it's 2nd and 5. They're going to go flat pass to the tight end. And that is going to be a 10, and they were right, and it's a possible defensive penalty again. But anyway, let's resolve the play. It was a 10 on a flat pass on the tight end's card. Or wait a minute, on Landry. And that would be an interception 5 yards downfield unless there is an error or there is a penalty on the Giants, and that's a 2. And 2 is offsetting penalties. So they are going to replay the down, and it's going to be 2nd and 5 again. Instead of Landry being picked off, they're going to go end run with the halfback on 2nd and 5. And that is a 5, and they were right. End run on Alty Taylor right is 0 yards. By the way, these guys don't fumble. The running backs for Detroit, at least, do not fumble. There's no chance of a fumble on their cards. But anyway, he got 0 yards. So that will be 3rd and 5. That brings up a 3rd and 5. They're going to go flat pass to the tight end. Flat to the tight end, and they were wrong. That's a 4 Flat pass 4 wrong is 11 yards. And the line, I'm pretty sure that was 2 more plays, so we move it there. The Lions move 11 yards downfield. They get another first down. They're going to go end run with the halfback, and that's Alty Taylor. And that is a 6 end run on the New York defense. And that's going to be just 1 yard, and there was no penalty. So it's 2nd and 9. And 2nd and 9, they're going to break out the long pass again. Long to the split end this time. That is a 12. And on the, they were wrong. And, well, it doesn't matter. It's on the defense. 12 long pass on the New York defense is a long gainer. There's no penalty, so let's see what they get. It's a 5. 5 on the long pass chart is 48 yards. The Lions are kicking ass here. 3, 10, 20, 30, and that's going to be a touchdown. They got a touchdown. So the Lions score. Let's see if they can get the extra point. The extra point chance for the Lions is 2-11. They just miss on 12, and they got it. So it is going to be 7-0 already with the Lions over the Giants already. Let me write that down. 7-0, and the Lions will kick off. So that was quick. The Lions scored really quick on that, and that we move it for the play. That is an 8 on the kickoff for Detroit, which is to the 3, number 1 of New York. The number 1 back, returning it. That is an 11. That's going to be a fumble, -8. That's a fumble in the end zone. 2 to 6 or 12, they get it back. They do get it back, but I don't know what happens there. I think that's probably out to the 20. I'm going to say it's out to the 20 and 1st and 10. This is 1972. They fumbled the ball. But they, no, you know what? That's probably a safety because it was in the field of play. And then he fumbled the ball and back into the end zone. So, yeah, I'm going to say that's a safety. Correct me if I'm wrong there, anybody at home. But I think we've got a 9-0 game now. And we're going to do a kickoff by the Giants. And that's going to be a 6 kickoff for the Giants. And that's to the 5, number 1. So it's to the 5-yard line and a return by the Detroit number 1 kick returner. That is a 5. That's going to be 24 yards. 10, 20, and 4. And we got a first down for Detroit at their own 29-yard line. And let's see. We are going to go end run with the halfback. Detroit will. They're up 9-0. They got a safety because the Giants fumbled the kickoff into their end zone and were tackled there and recovered it themselves. But that resulted in a safety in my estimation. Anyway, end run for the halfback, who is Alty Taylor. And he's going to get a 6 end run on the Giants defense, and that is only 1 yard. So it's going to be 2nd and 9 for Detroit. They're going to go line buck with the fullback. The fullback is Steve Owens. He gets a 6. 6 on the New York defense. Line buck is 4 yards. And so they have a 3rd and 5 coming up. 3rd and 5 for Detroit. They're going to go flat to the tight end. That is a 7 on flat pass for New York, and it's a short gain. And that is a 6. 6 on the short yardage. short gain yardage thing is 16 yards. Detroit is smoking New York here. 1, 10, 15, and they're right at midfield. And they're going to go end run with the halfback. End run with the halfback 5, and they were right. And the halfback is Aldi Taylor, and that is -7 yards. He loses 7. They caught him in the backfield running around. So it's 2nd and 17 for Detroit. They're going to try a short pass to the split end. Short to the split end, and it's a 7 on the New York defense. And that's going to be an 8-yard sack. So now they have, Detroit has a 3rd and forever. They will try a long pass, though. I mean, it's worked. It worked once. 4 long pass on the defense for the Giants. That might be a pickoff. No, it's incomplete. So, nothing happened there, and the Lions will punt. And that is a 10. The punt is a 10. That's not generally very good, but they have pretty good field position, so it might not be terrible. That is 34 yards. 10, 20, 30, and 4. And let's see, it is the number 1 back returning it for the Giants. That is a 3. And that's going to be a -6. So he fields the punt, but 6 yards further back. And so the Giants are going to go 1st and 10 from the 25. This is the first time the Giants offense will be on the field. Now, the Giants will have Norm Snead at quarterback, Charlie Evans at fullback, Ron A. Johnson at halfback. The tight end is Bob Tucker. The flanker is Rich Houston. And the split end is Don Herman. Now, uncharacteristically, in 1972, most quarterbacks didn't have a high completion percentage, but Norm Snead had a 60.3 completion percentage, was probably one of the best in the NFL at that time. But the Giants are going to go 1st and 10 here. They're going to go short pass to the split end. And that is an 8, and there's an offensive penalty. The Giants coming up with all kinds of penalty chances. They were wrong, though, or it doesn't matter. It's on the Detroit defense. So a short pass, 8 on the Detroit defense is 11 yards. But let's see if the Giants had a penalty. That is a 12. And it is. It's a number 6. Number 6 on a pass is going to be holding. So it's going to be 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. And that's going to be a 1st and 20. 1st and 20 for the Giants. They'll go end run with a halfback. They were right, and it's a 5. And those guys can fumble. And that's Ron A. Johnson. 5 end run right is fumble 0, 2 to 3. He does not fumble, but he gets 0 yards. And that brings up a 2nd and 20 for the Giants. They're going to try a long pass to the split end. 9 on the Detroit defense for long pass is incomplete. So this is 3rd and 20. 3rd and 20, they're going to try a short pass. They'll try short to the tight end. 5 short pass on Detroit's short pass defense is receiver. So we go to the tight end. Now, the tight end for the Giants is Bob Tucker. He gets a 4. Short pass is 13 yards, not what they needed. They needed more than that, so they've got a 4th and 7 coming up, and they're going to punt the ball away. And that is a 9. 9 on the punt for New York is 40 yards back. Oh, wait a minute. 40 yards back 1. 2, 10, 20, 30, 40, and then back it off 2. They're returning. The Lions are returning from their own 32-yard line. And they will roll for it. It's a 9. It's a 7-yard advance. So the Lions will take over 1st and 10 at their own 39-yard line. And they're going to try an end run with the halfback. Again, that's Alty Taylor. That is an 8, and they were right. It's on Alty Taylor's card. It's a negative 2-yard loss. So 2nd and 12 for the Detroit Lions here as we approach the end. We're coming up close to the end of the first quarter. Going to do a long pass to the flanker. That is a 6, and they were right, and it's a possible defensive penalty again on the Giants. 6 long right. First of all, is must run for Landry. Before we resolve that, let's see if there was a defensive penalty on the Giants. It's a 9, and 9 is opponent offside, so it's actually a penalty on Detroit. So they'll have a 3rd and 17. Or no, second. I think it's 2nd and 17. They'll do end run with the halfback. End run with the halfback 5. Possible defensive penalty, but let's see what that is. It's a fumble, negative 1, 2 to 9. But let's see if there was a defensive penalty first on the Giants. It's a 7. There wasn't, so let's see. That was an end run. So on end run, fumble, negative 1, 2 to 9. They do fumble. 2 to 6 or 12, they get it back. They do barely get it back, but it is a negative 1. And so now Detroit has 3rd and forever coming up. They will try a long pass to the split end. They're going to try to pick it up. It's a 5. The defense was right. And so that means Greg Landry is running for his life. Now, he did run for 524 yards in 1972. But that's a 10, and it's only going to be a yard pickup. So Detroit is going to punt from their own 33-yard line. The punt is a 5. So that is 43 back 2. 2, 10, 20, 30, 40, and 1. The Giants returning from their own 24-yard line. And that is a 9. And that's going to be a fair catch. So the Giants will take over 1st and 10 at their own 24. And they're going to go off tackle with the fullback. Now, the fullback for the Giants is Charlie Evans. And he's going off tackle 6 on the Lions defense. And that's going to be a 1-yard gain. So it's 2nd and 9 for the Giants. They'll do an end run with a halfback. That is a 7, and they are right. And the halfback is Ron A. Johnson, and that's going to be a negative 2-yard loss. So they've got a 3rd and 12 coming up. Or no, third and 11. Third and 11 coming up. They're going to go short to the split end. 12 on the quarterback's card, but there's a possible defensive penalty on Detroit. But Detroit was wrong with their guess, so let's see what that would be. This was a short pass, 12. It would be 12 yards, which would just give them the first down. But let's see if there was a penalty on Detroit. 10. Opponent number 6. So that is going to be let's see. That's going to be a legal contact for Detroit. 5 yards from the line of scrimmage. And a first down. I apologize. I thought I wouldn't need a drink, but obviously I do need a drink, so I'm going to get one at the end of the quarter. So that's going to be a first down at the Giants' 27-yard line. And they are going to go end run with the halfback. And that is an 8, and they're right. The halfback being Ron A. Johnson. He gets 5 yards. So that's going to bring up a 2nd and 5 for the Giants. And they'll try a short to the split end. That is an 11. Short pass. And that's going to be incomplete. Possible offensive penalty on the Giants, though. It's a 7, so it wasn't, but it's incomplete, and so it is 3rd and 5. And that's going to be an 8. And they are right. And that's a incomplete pass. And so we are starting the second quarter. We will reverse the helmets here because they reversed the side of the field. And the Giants are going to have a 4th and 5 when we come back, but they're at their own 33. So we'll put them at the 33 here. And a 4, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. And they got a 4th and 5, so they're going to punt. For the start of the second quarter, the Giants will punt. The punt is a roll of 7, which is 43 back 1. 3, 10, 20, 40. Back number 1 for the Lions, returning it, is a 7, which is on the Giant return card. That's going to be 4 yards. So the Lions have it 1st and 10 at their 29. And no time moved on that. And they will come out long again, long to the flanker. And that's going to be an 8 on the Giants' defense, long. That's going to be a receiver. Now, they were right. So they're going to the flanker, who is Larry Walton. And he gets a roll of 5, which is 28 yards. 1, 10, 20, 5, 8. So they've got a 1st and 10, the Lions do, at the Giants' 43-yard line. And they're going to go end run with their halfback. That's Aldi Taylor. And that's going to be a 12 end run on Giants defense. And that's a short gain. They'll roll for the short gain, and that's a 6. 6 on short gain is 16 yards. The Lions kicking ass here. 3, 10, and 3. They have a first down at the Giants' 27-yard line. They're going to go short to the split end. First and 10 for the Lions. That is a 9 short pass on the New York defense. And that's going to be a receiver. And let's see. Short to the split end. That is a 9. Split end is Ron Jesse. And it depends on if they were right or wrong. We have to look at the chart. It's first and 10. So 1 to 6 pass. They were looking for the pass. They were not. So it is a 15-yard gain. 2, 10, and 3. And the Lions have it first and 10 at the Giants. The Lions have it first and 10 at the Giants' 12-yard line. And they're going to go end run with Alty Taylor. Has an 8, possible defensive penalty, and the Giants were right. 8 on Alty Taylor is going to be negative 2 yards because they were right. But let's see if they have a penalty, the Giants. It's a 4. Opponent number 2. So this is on the Lions, this penalty. This is not a very clean game. And it's going to be holding 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. 3, 5, and 7. So they have the Lions now have a 2nd and 20. They're going to try an off tackle with the fullback. The fullback is Steve Owens. That's 11 on the off tackle defense for the Giants. And that's going to be a negative 1 yard. So it's going to be 2nd and 21. They're going to go end run with Alty Taylor. And that is a 3. And they're wrong. And there's no penalty. So 3 end run wrong is 9 yards. So he cuts a little gap in the, he cuts a little piece out of what they needed. But they do face now a 3rd and 13. They could get to the 1 and not score. They could get, enough to not score. But it's 3rd and 13. They're going to go short to the split end. And that is a 5 on the on Greg Landry's card, and that is, let's see, they were probably going to be looking for the pass, but let's roll for it. 18. Let's see. 18 is, no, they were looking for the run. So, 5 on a short pass is, for Landry, is incomplete, though. So they run off another play. They got a 4th down now at the Giants' 14. A field goal from there for their kicker. And the kicker is Errol Mann was the kicker for Detroit. I remember Errol Mann. They're going to roll for the they're going to roll for the field goal. And from the 14, it's 2-8 good. And it is just barely good. And the Giants, or the Lions, I'll get it right one of these times, have now got 12 points to add to the previous 9. And so it is 12-0 Detroit right now. And they will kick off. 8 on the Detroit kickoff is to the 3, number 1. The Giants are fielding the ball at 3. Their number 1 back, 10, is 24 yards. So it's out to the 27. And it's 1st and 10 for the Giants at the 27. They're down by 12 points here. They will try an end run with their halfback. That is going to be Ron A. Johnson. And that is a 4 end run on the Detroit defense. And that's going to be 9 yards. So Giants got a 2nd and 1. They're going to go line buck with the fullback, and that is Charlie Evans. And that is a 7 on the line buck defense for Detroit, and that's going to be 1 yard, and that gets them what they need, and they got a 1st down. New set of downs for the Giants. They're going to try a flat pass to their tight end. Their tight end is Bob Tucker. And that's going to be a 1-2 possible offensive penalty. But let's see what it is on the passing card for Snead. It's either a short gain or a -1. But first of all, let's see if there was an offensive penalty on the Giants. That's a 10. There wasn't, so let's see, and let's roll to see what the defense for Detroit was guessing. 1-6 pass, so they were wrong. So that's going to be a short gain. So we'll roll for the short gain for the Giants. That's an 8. 8 is 14 yards. 3, 10, and 1. So they're in Detroit territory, I think, for the first time today. And they have a 1st and 10 from the Detroit 49. They're going to go end run with a halfback. End run with a halfback, 6. And that's on the Detroit end run defense. 6 is no yards. So it's 2nd and 10 for the Giants. They're going to go short to the split end. That is a 9. 9 short pass. And they were right, though, so it's incomplete. And it is going to be 2nd and, or is it? I think it's 2nd and 10. They're going to go off tackle with the fullback, and that's Charlie Evans. 7 off tackle is 2 yards. So it's 3rd and 8 for the Giants. They're going to go flat to the tight end. Flat to the tight end, 6. On Norm Snead's card is, they were right, so it was only 5 yards. So a 5-yard pickup means they need 1, 2, 3, 4. The Giants have a 4th and 4 now. And they are going to, given how the game is going and how the Detroit defense is playing, they're going to go for it. And they're going to go flat to their halfback. And the halfback is Ron A. Johnson. So this is a flat pass That is a 7 on the Detroit defense, but there's a possible defensive penalty. Or no, it isn't. It's a 7 on Norm Snead's card, which would be they were wrong. So it would be 8 yards and it would be a first down. But let's see if there was a defensive penalty on Detroit. That is a 3. There wasn't, so it is an 8-yard pickup and a first down. And the Giants keep the chains moving, and they're going to go off tackle with the fullback. Still have plenty of time to score here. 7 off tackle on the Detroit defense is going to be 2 yards. So they got a 2nd and 8. They're going to go flat to the tight end. Flat to the tight end. 7 possible defensive penalty. But flat pass. 7 is a short gain on the Detroit defense. First, let's see if there is a defensive penalty on Detroit. I got to find the dice. And that is a 7. There isn't. So it's going to be a short gain. And it's a 9. 9 is 13 yards. 2, 10, and 1. So the Giants are moving the ball. They have a 1st and 10 at the Detroit 19. They're going to go end run with their halfback. That is Ronnie Johnson. That is a 5. They were wrong, Detroit was. That is a fumble 0, 2. And it's not, but they get 0 yards. So it's 2nd and 10. They're going to go short to the split end. That is a 9. They're wrong. And that's going to be 16 yards. And that'll bring it right down to a 1st and goal. 4, 10, 2. 1st and goal from the 3. And they're going to go line buck with the fullback. Line buck with the fullback 7, and they're wrong. And that is Charlie Evans. And that's a short gain. It's going to be a touchdown for New York. The extra point is, for New York, is good. 2-10. And it is. So New York gets on the board with a touchdown, no less. And it is 12-7 Detroit right now. The Giants will kick off. 6 is to the 5, number 1. So they catch it at the 5, number 1 return is a 5, and that's going to be 24 yards, 29. 1st and 10 at the 29 for Detroit. Now, they have all their timeouts. Time doesn't move at the 2-minute warning and when you take a timeout. So they have plenty of time. I'm going to try a short to the split end. And that is a 2 on Landry's card, wrong. And that's going to be 16 yards. So the Lions have it 1st and 10 at the 44. We have the 2-minute warning, so time doesn't move on this play. They're going to go end run with a halfback. That is an 8, and the halfback is Alty Taylor. They were right, so it's -2. And time didn't move because it was a 2-minute warning. They're going to go short to the split end. That is a 5, and they were right. It doesn't matter. It's on the defense. Short pass 5 is receiver. Okay, now it does matter. To the split end. That's Ron Jesse. 7 is incomplete. So they got a 3rd and 12. They're going to go long to the flanker. And we're going to say that we're going to say the Giants are looking for the pass, no matter what. 11, what is it? Long pass 11 on the New York defense. Possible defensive penalty, but that's going to be incomplete. And they will roll to see if there's a defensive penalty, though. 7. And there isn't. So it's 4th down for Detroit. And they're just going to kick the ball. They're going to punt the ball away. That is a 7 on the punt, which is 40 yards back 1. 3, 10, 20, 30, 40. Back it off 3. And the Giants are returning from their own 17-yard line and with the number 1 back. And that is a 12. And it's going to be on the Detroit return, which is a long gain. So they could score a touchdown here or come close. 6 is 35 yards. 3, 10, 20, 30, and 2. They are at the 49 or 48 of Detroit. They're going to try a long pass to the split end. That is a 6 long pass on the Detroit long pass defense. It's intercepted 2 to 4, 11, or 12. It is intercepted. How many yards downfield? 29. 3, 10, 20. And the interception return is a 6. And that's 12 yards. So Detroit has it 1st and 10 at their own 31. They're going to go long to the flanker. Again, the Giants are only looking for the pass. 5 long, looking for it. Is going to be must run for Landry. And 11 is 0 yards. So it's 2nd down. They're going to call a timeout here. They're going to go long to the split end. And that's a 10 in the right. Intercepted 2 to 11 by the Giants. It is. The return is a 5. It is intercepted and return for 20 yards. So this was intercepted 31 yards downfield. And then returned for 20 yards. And they've got it 1st and 10 at the 42 of Detroit. Oh, they called the timeout, so the time doesn't move there. The Giants are going to go long. Again, Detroit is only looking for the long. For the pass. 6. 6 long pass is Intercepted 2 to 4, 11, or 12. It isn't, so it's incomplete. The Giants will now call a timeout. They'll try a short pass to the split end. That is a 5, and they're wrong. Or no, we're going to assume that they're right. But it's 13 yards anyway. And time didn't move because they called their first time out. They'll call their second here. And they're going to go short to the flanker. And that's going to be a 12. Short pass is 12 yards. 4, 9, 10, 11, 12. First and 10 at the Lions. 17. I apologize. My throat gets bad when I do this much talking. They're gonna go short to the split end again. Lions looking for it again. They're calling their third time out. 7 on the short pass defense for Detroit is incomplete. And time didn't move. But now they got a fourth down to 17. They will try a field goal with Pete Gogolak. And they're at the 17. So it's 2 to 7 or 12 good. And it is. That's another 3 for New York, and now it's 12-10, the Lions lead. The Giants will kick off. It's a 7. 7 on the kickoff is to the 7, number 1. Number 1 back for Detroit is 7. That's on the New York return card, 26 yards. And they are going to, they're just going to go line buck with the fullback. And that's an 8. 8 line buck right is 0 yards. They're going to go off tackle with the halfback. That is a 12. And 12, let's see if they were right or wrong. It's a 16. They were looking for the run. So 12 off tackle is 0 yards looking for it. And they will do an end run with, let me see, can Landry run an end run? He might be able to. Yeah, they're going to end run quarterback. And that is a 5 end run on the Giants defense, which is a fumble -1, 2 to 9. He does fumble 2 to 6 or 12. He gets it back. He doesn't. And that was a -1 yard loss. So the Giants will take over at the 30-yard line. They don't have any timeouts, so they only really have 2 plays. They're going to go short to the split end. And that is a 6. And they were right. 6 right, short pass, 15 yards. So they're down to the 15. They only have 1 play left, so they're going to kick the field goal on that. And from the 15, he is 2 to 7 or 12 good. And he is. So the Giants now take a 13 to 12 lead, and that is the end of the first half. The Giants lead 13 to 12 at the half. This is a tighter game than anyone might have expected. And we will come back for the second half. Well, we're back for the second half of the 1972 Lions taking on the 1972 Giants. And currently, the Giants have a 1-point lead. They are winning 13 to 12 over the Lions, who had a touchdown and a safety and a field goal, while the Giants had a touchdown. I think they had a touchdown and 2 field goals. What did they have? They had a touchdown and 2 field goals. So that accounts for the 1-point lead, and the Lions receive the first half kickoff, so the Giants will receive the second half kickoff, and we will do that. And the kickoff by the Lions is to the number 1 of the Giants, the 7-yard line. And the number 1 back will return for the Giants. By the way, that is Rocky Thompson. And he gets a 7, which is on the Detroit return for kickoffs, and that is going to be a 23-yard return. So that's going to be out to the 30. 1st and 10 for the Giants from the 30-yard line. And the Giants will start with an end run by their halfback, and their halfback is Ron A. Johnson. And he gets a 7 end run on the Detroit defense, and that is going to be a 2-yard gain, but there is a possible offensive penalty on the Giants. Let's roll for that. That is an 8, and there isn't. So it is a 2-yard gain. And so it's going to be 2nd and 8 for the Giants. 2nd and 8, they're going to go off tackle with their fullback. Their fullback is Charlie Evans. And he is going to get a 7 on the off tackle defense for Detroit. And that's going to be another 2 yards. So it is 3rd and 6 for the Giants. And they're going to go end run, surprisingly. They're going to pull out an end run and try to get the 6 yards that way. And unfortunately, they were right. And it's the Detroit defense guessed right. And that's going to be an end run 5 for Ron A. Johnson, which is going to be 0 yards. And he fumbles on 2 to 3. And he doesn't, but it's 0 yards. And the Giants will punt. Thought they could get it, but they didn't. And at 5 on the punt for Tom Blanchard is 46 yards and back number 2. 1, 10, 20, 30, 40, and 5. And Detroit will return it from their own 20. And that's going to be a 2. So let's see here. This was number 2 back. And number 2 back on the punt return. They only have 1, and 2 is a 26-yard return for Detroit. So 10, 20, and 5 and 6, and they have a first down at their own 46. They're going to do the same thing. They're going to come out and start to try to run the ball. They're going to do an end run with their halfback, and that is, of course, Alty Taylor, as we have discussed, and that's a 5. And they guessed right, so that's not going to be good. That's a -7. Alty Taylor gets caught in the backfield and keeps running backwards, and so it's a 2nd and 17 for Detroit. They're going to go short to the split end. And that's going to be a 2 And 2 on short pass for the Giants defense is 12 yards, 2 to 6. And that is going to be a 12-yard gain. That helps. But it still doesn't get them they still need 5 yards, so it's going to be 3rd and 5. And on 3rd and 5, they're going to go flat to the tight end. And that is an 8, guessing right, and it's a possible offensive penalty. 8 guessing right on a flat pass for Landry is the receiver. And let's see if what the receiver would get. 7, tight end. The tight end is Charlie Sanders, and a 7 is going to be 6 yards right. And that would get him the first down, but let's see if there was an offensive penalty on him. 6. And that will be no. So they do get the first down. They barely get the first down, and it's 1st and 10 for Detroit at the Giants' 42-yard line. And they're going to do end run with the halfback, Alty Taylor. He's been getting a lot of work today. That is going to be a 9 end run on the Giants defense, and that's going to be 0 yards. But there's a possible defensive penalty on the Giants. Let's roll for that. That is a 7, and I don't think it is. No, wait, let's see. No, it isn't. So it's going to be 2nd and 10. And they're going to go short to the split end. That is a 7. Possible offensive penalty, and they were right. Everything going wrong there. Greg Landry on a must run. Let's see what he could get. That is a 10, and that's going to be bad. That is only 1 yard. So Greg Landry scrambles around and could get 1 yard. But let's see if there's an offensive penalty on the Lions. 5. That is going to be offsides. So the Lions will lose 5 yards. And they have a 2nd and 15. They're going to go end run with the halfback. That is an 8, and they're right. And these defenses are really playing a good ball game here. End run 8, right is -2 yards. So Detroit is going to try a long pass on 3rd and forever here. They're going to go long to the split end. In the split end, the target is Ron Jesse. And that's going to be a 10. Possible offensive penalty, and they were right. It would be intercepted 2 to 11. Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. No, it's 10 on the defense, on the long pass defense for the Giants. That's going to be a receiver. So let's see what it is on Jesse. That is an 8. Long pass would be 29 yards. But let's see if there was an offensive penalty on Detroit. That's an 11. And that is no. So it is going to be a 29-yard gain. 4, 10, 20, and 5. And they've got a first down at the Giants' 20-yard line. And they're going to do another end run. It's coming up with Alty Taylor. And they guessed right again, and it's a 7. 7 end run on the New York defense is 2 yards. So it's 2nd and 8. They're going to go off tackle with the fullback. The fullback being Steve Owens. And that is an 8, and 8 off tackle on the Giants defense. A lot of these rolls have been an exorbitant number here. Have been on the defensive cards. Off tackle fullback, and it is a roll of 8. And that's going to be 0 yards. And so now it is I think it's 3rd and 8. They're going to go short to the split end. Short pass to the split end, 10. Again, it is on the defense card. And it's going to be incomplete. So now the Lions have a decision to make. Are they going to kick the field goal from the 18-yard line? Kicking a field goal from the 18, Errol Mann is 2-8 good, and they will try that to give them the lead. And it is good. And so Detroit takes a 15-13 point lead here in the game, and they will kick off. Kickoff is a 9, and that is going to be -2 in the end zone. The Giants will just take it on the 20. They're going to take it 1st and 10 on the 20, and they're going to try their own long pass. They're going to go long to the flanker. And the target there, the flanker, is Rich Houston. He hasn't been targeted much this game. And that's going to be a 5 on the long pass defense for the Lions again. And that's going to be 30 yards. Wow, 30-yard completion. 10, 20, 30. And they're right at midfield, the Giants are now, with another first down, another set of downs. Moving the chains. They're going to do an end run with their halfback, the halfback being Ron A. Johnson. And that is going to be a 4. And 4 on, again, the defense for the Detroit Lions. 4 end run, and that should be a pretty decent gain. Let's see. That is 9 yards. He almost gets the first down, but not quite. So it's going to be 2nd and 1. They're going to go line buck with the fullback. The fullback is Charlie Evans. And that is going to be a 10. Possible offensive penalty, though. But let's see, the 10 on the line buck defense for the Detroit Lions is a 4-yard gain, so that would be a first down. But let's see if New York has a penalty. 6, I don't think they do, and they don't. So there's no penalty on the play, and they get 4, what was it? Let's see. Line buck defense, 8 yards, so that's going to be a first down. And the Giants just keep moving the ball. End run with the halfback is what they're going to do the next play. That is Ron A. Johnson. And that is a 4 on his card, and they're wrong. So let's see what that gets him. That's going to get him 8 yards. So they're going to have a 2nd and 2, the Giants will, and they're going to go line buck with the fullback, line buck with Charlie Evans. And that is going to be a 7. They were right, though. 7 on Charlie Evans' card. And that's going to be 0. So they got a 3rd and 2 now. 3rd and 2 coming up. They're going to go flat to the tight end. That is going to be a 10 flat pass on Schneed. And that is going to be... it's a possible defensive penalty, but they were right. It's going to be intercepted 5 yards, 2-4. And it isn't. And it's incomplete, but let's see if there was a defensive penalty on Detroit. That's a 9. That is going to be opponent offside. So the Giants were offsides, but that brings up a 4th down and 2, and the Giants, or the Lions, going to refuse the penalty, and the Giants will try a field goal from the 25. And their chances of making it, Pete Gogalak from the 25 is 2-5 good. But they're going to try it, and they don't. They just miss it. And Detroit knew what they were doing there when they called for that to be a, to not take the penalty. And so they're going to come out and go long. They're going long to the split end. And that's going to be a 12, possible defensive penalty, and they were right. And it is on Landry's card. It is 33 yards. But let's see if there was a defensive penalty on the Giants. That's a 12. And let's see. 12 is number 6. So let's see what the number 6 is on a pass. All pass attempts, defense. Number 6 is illegal contact, but they're not. They're going to refuse. The Lions will refuse the penalty, and that'll be a 33-yard gain. 10, 20, 30, and 3. And they've got it 1st and 10 on the Giants' 43-yard line. And they're going to go end run with their halfback. The halfback, of course, Alty Taylor. Said it many times. That is a 7. And 7 end run is, let's see if they're looking for it. It's the question mark, so we have to roll and see if they were looking for it. 8. I don't think they were. No, they were. They were looking for the run. Right. And that's what we did. So he gets 0 yards on that. Could have been a short gain, but it isn't because they were looking for it. So that's going to be a 2nd and 10. They're going to go short to the split end. Short pass to the split end 5 on Greg Landry's card when they are not looking for it is incomplete. So it's going to be 3rd and 10. 3rd and 10, they're going to go end run with Greg Landry. Greg Landry is going to try to run the ball. It's a designed run, and it's a 4. And let's see what 4 on, they were right, 4 on end run. Is going to be 0 yards. So he gets nothing, they're going to have to punt. The Lions punt, and it's a 9. Which is probably pretty good because they have good field position. 9 on the punt is 37 back 1. So 4, 10, 20, 30, and 3. They're going to be, the Giants are returning from their 7-yard line. And number 1 back. So let's see what the number 1 back gets. He gets a 9, which is fair catch. So the Giants are hemmed up. They're going to be at their 7-yard line and try to work their way out of here. They're going to go off tackle with the fullback. The fullback is Charlie Evans. That is a 6. So 6 off tackle. It's on the defense. It's a possible defensive penalty too, but let's see what the 6 off tackle is on Detroit's defense. And that is going to be a 1-yard gain. But let's see if there was a defensive penalty on Detroit. That's a 3. And there isn't. So that is going to be just a 1-yard gain. So it's going to be 2nd and 9 for the Giants. They're going to go flat to the tight end. Flat pass to the tight end, possible offensive penalty. It's an 8 on the defense. Flat pass, defense 8 for Detroit is receiver, and it's the tight end. And that is a 5. So 5 on the tight end, flat pass. And they were right. It's still 12 yards. But let's see if there's an offensive penalty on the Giants. That is a 10. And that will be no. So they do get 12 yards and they get the first down. They get out of the shadow of their own end zone. And they're going to go end run with the halfback. The halfback, of course, being Ron A. Johnson. He gets a 5. They were right, and it's on his card. That's all bad. That's going to be a 0-yard gain. 2 to 3, he fumbles. He does not, so he gets 0 yards. And they're going to go long. 2nd down, they're going to go long to the split end, long pass. That is a 7, guessing right. And on Snead, that's going to be incomplete. It's incomplete either way. Twice on Sunday. They're going to go end run with a halfback on 3rd and 10. And that is a 5, and they are right. And it's going to be a 0-yard gain. Well, it's a fumble 2-3. Oh my God, he fumbled. Well, 2-6 or 12, they get it back. They do, so it is a 0-yard gain. So they're going to punt the ball. That is an 11. It's a terrible punt. Let's see. 11 on the New York Giants punt is 36 back 1. 1, 10, 20, 30, and 5. They're going to return from the 45, the Lions will. Number 1 back is a 7. That's going to be on the Giants return card for punting, the punt return, and that's a 4-yard return. So it's going to be 1st and 10 for the Lions at their own 49, almost to midfield. And they're going to try a short pass to the split end. This will be the last play of the third quarter. And that is a 7 short pass, possible offensive penalty, but 7 on short pass for the Giants is an negative 8-yard sack. Let's see if there was a penalty on the Lions. That is a 9. And let's see. Opponent number 6. So this was on the Giants. And that was a pass. So let's see what happens here. It's probably illegal contact or something. It is illegal contact, 5 yards from the original line of scrimmage on a first down. So they're going to have a 1st and 10 from the Giants, 46-yard line. So we're going to have to move it over to this side and going this way, and we're going to reverse the helmets. And we're going to start the final quarter with the score, Detroit 15, the Giants 13. Very low scoring game. Of course, you would expect that from a 1972 game anyway. They're going to go end run with the halfback. And I think it's like 2nd and 10. Or no, 1st and... No, this is... Yeah, 1st and 10. It's 1st and 10 after the penalty. So they're going to go end run with their halfback, and their halfback is Artie Taylor. And that is going to be an 8. Possible defensive penalty. I got to do something about these because these possible defensive penalties come up a lot more than they should. Now, the actual penalties aren't too bad. They're still not coming up as much, but we do have to do something about that. 8 is, let's see what that is. 8 end run on the defense for the Giants. And that is going to be a 5-yard gain. That's a nice gain, but let's see if there was a defensive penalty on the Giants. It's an 11. And no, it wasn't. So it's a 5-yard gain. So it's going to be 2nd and 5 for Detroit. They're going to go short to the split end. Short to the split end, and that is a 2, and they were right. So let's see. Well, Landry, it's still a 16-yard gain. So 11 and 5, and they're down to the Giants' 25-yard line. And they're going to go, again, they're going to go short, but this time they're going to go short to the tight end. They're going to try to score. They want to pop it in really quick here and put the Giants at a real disadvantage in the fourth quarter. That is a 10, and it's on the Giant defense, short pass 10, and that's incomplete. So they're going to go 2nd and 10. They're going to go end run with the halfback, and that is Artie Taylor, and that is a 3, and they were wrong. End run 3 wrong is 9 yards. So they have a 3rd and 1 coming up. 3rd and 1, they're going to go line buck with the fullback. Linebuck with the fullback, it's a 9. They are wrong. So I'm going to guess he probably got this. Steve Owens. Linebuck 9. Wrong is 1 yard. He just barely got it. But he did get the first down. And so now it's 1st and 10 for Detroit at the 15. And now they're going to go short to the split end. They could get a touchdown if it's a completed pass. It's an 11, though. 11, possible offensive penalty, and they were right. Again, a whole bunch of bad. Well, no, it isn't. It's going to be a 15-yard gain. If there is no penalty on Detroit, we will roll for that. It's a 7. I don't think there is. No. So he gets a 15-yard gain, and it's a touchdown for Detroit. So Detroit, and we'll try the extra point. Let's see if the extra point is good for them. It is, Errol Man only misses on 12, and that is not. So they get a touchdown, and it is 22-13 now. And the Giants are down by 9. They've got to kick it into high gear. They will. Detroit's going to kick off. That is a 10. That's to the 9, number 2. So they receive the ball at the 9, and the number 2 back is returning it for the Giants. And that is a 6, and that's going to be 18 yards. So 11 and 5 is 16, 18. They're out to the 22-yard line. 22-yard line, and they're going to go short to the split end because they got to get going here. Wait a minute, that can't be. That was 18. Well, anyway, we're going to say that's where it is. So, short pass to the split end. And that is a 3 short pass, possible defensive penalty, but the 3 short pass on Detroit's defense is 14 yards. Let's see if Detroit made a penalty on that. It's a 10, and it is opponent number 6. So it's going to be the Giants are going to have the penalty on the pass play, and that's going to be holding. So it's 10 yards from the original line of scrimmage. So it's going to be a first and 20 from the 11. And they're going to go flat to the tight end. They're not going to try to get it all back in one felt swoop. That is a 12. Flat pass 12 on Norm Snead's card. And let's see if they were right or wrong, because this could be huge. It's an 11, so they were wrong. So it's going to be a short gain. So we'll roll for the short gain. That is a 7. 7 on short gain is 15 yards. So they do get a lot of it back. Let's see. That's 4, 10, and 1. So they've got a second and 5. So now it's really manageable. They're going to go flat to the halfback. One thing I've been accused of is not throwing to the backs enough. So flat pass to the halfback, 4 on the Lions defense. Flat pass is intercepted 2 to 3 or 12. And it isn't. And it is incomplete. So they've got a 3rd. I think that brings us to 3rd and 5. And on 3rd and 5, they will try a flat pass to the split end. That is a 10. Flat pass on the Detroit flat pass defense, and it's incomplete. And so the Giants are going to punt. I don't know if they can afford to with the time ticking away, but they can't afford to give the Lions the ball right there either. So they get off a punt which is a 45 back 2. So 4, 10, 20, 30, 40, and 1, and back 2 for the Lions. On the punt return is going to be Lem Barney, and he gets a 12, which is on the return card for the Giants, and that's going to be 9 yards. 6, 7, 8, 9, and they have a first down. The Lions do have a first down at their own 38-yard line. And they're going to try a long pass to the flanker. Yeah, they're coming out. They're still putting the gas pedal to the metal. And that is going to be a 2. It's a possible offensive penalty, but it's a wrong, too. Long pass, wrong on Landry is a long gain. It's a double long gain, but let's see if there was an offensive penalty on the Lions. They get a 9, and it is opponent offsides, so they're going to roll. They're going to refuse that penalty, whatever it would be. It doesn't matter because they got a long gain. And 5 on long gain is 48 yards. So that's a 48-yarder right there. 2, 10, 20, 30, 40. And they got a first down at the 14 of the Giants. And the Giants are in real trouble now. They're going to go end run with the halfback, the Lions will. Because now they might as well just, play the eat clock thing. 7 right is going to be 0 yards. So they got a 2nd and 10. They're going to go off tackle with the fullback. Off tackle with the fullback, 9. And the off-tackle defense, 9 is 4 yards. And they have a 3rd and 6. 3rd and 6, they're going to go line buck with the fullback. And that is going to be a 6 on the line buck defense, plus it could be a defensive penalty on the Giants. But let's see what the line buck 6 is. That'd be 4 yards, and it would be, no, it would not be a first down. But let's see if they have a penalty. It's a 7. I don't think they do. They don't. So it's 4 yards, and that brings up 4th down, and the Lions are just going to kick the field goal. A field goal from the 6-yard line for them is going to be 2 to 10 good. And it is. And they tack on another 3 points, and it is 25-13. So it was a skin-tight game in the first half has become a Detroit blowout here as they lead now 25-13. And they will kick off. And that is a 6 to the 5, number 1. So the Giants take the ball to 5. They're number 1 back. On the kickoff return. They do have a touchdown, but it's at 2. That's a 6. That's going to be 27 yards. 10-27. It's going to be 1st and 10 for the Giants at the 30, at their own 32. And they've got to do a lot of scoring really quick. So they got to go long to the flanker. And we're going to guess that Detroit is only going to guess pass. Well, the Giants are on offense because that's really what they've got to do. So, long to the flanker. Long to the flanker, possible defensive penalty, 8. That is going to be 33 yards. Let's see if there was a defensive penalty. 4 on Detroit is opponent number 2. So it's actually on the Giants. They couldn't have afforded that. Pass. Offense 2 is holding 10 yards from the original line of scrimmage. So this has really not been a clean game at all. 2, 5, 7, 8. Let's see. and then 10. So now they've got it 1st and 10, or 1st and 20 at their 22-yard line. And they're going to go long to the split end. That is a 7, long pass. Possible penalty on them, on the Giants. But let's see what 7, long pass is on the Detroit defense. That's going to be a negative 8-yard sack, but let's see, that's a 3. That is no penalty, but it's going to be an 8-yard sack, which they don't need. And they are going to, on 3rd and forever, they're just going to do an end run with a halfback and try to get, and again, the Lions are still going to look for the pass. Possible defensive penalty, it's a 7. 7 end run on their halfback is 7 yards, but let's see if there's a penalty on Detroit. That is an 8. There isn't, so they get 7 yards, and they're just happy to have it, and they're going to punt from there. And time is really of the essence here. That is a 7 on the punting card for the Giants for Tom Blanchard, and that's a 43-yard back one. So 4, 10, 20, 30, 40, and back it off 1. They are returning, the Lions are, from their only 36. And it's going to be the number 1 back, although I think they only have 1, they do. That is a 3, and that's going to be a fair catch. So Detroit will go into business. They'll open up shop here at the 30 or at the 33-yard line, I think it was. Oh, no, and we don't move it on that. They're going to go end run with the halfback. So end run with Taylor, and that's a 3. And they were, let's see if they were guessing pass or not. They were guessing run. I think they were guessing run. No, they were guessing pass. They were guessing pass. So that is going to be a 9-yard gain. So they have a 2nd and 1. 2nd and 1, they're going to go line buck with the fullback. Line buck with the fullback, and that is an 8 on the defense for the Giants. 8 line buck. There is a possible offensive penalty, though. Line buck 8 is 3 yards. So it would be a first down, but let's see if there is a Lions penalty here, and there isn't. So they do get the first down. And they're right at the 50. They are at midfield with another 1st and 10. They're going to go end run with the halfback. All they need to do is keep the ball a little while, and that's going to be it. 6 end run. They were right. And that is going to be 5 yards. And they're going to go off tackle with the fullback. Just do little safe plays. Don't do anything stupid. That is a 5 possible defensive penalty and 5 line buck or off tackle. 5 off tackle on the New York defense is fumble +3, 2-9. That is an 8. So they did fumble 2-6 or 12. They get it back. They did. So that's going to be a 3-yard gain. Possible defensive penalty, though. Let's roll for that. That's a 9. 9 is opponent offsides. So the Giants were offsides, and that's going to be 5 yards. And it's going to be a first down. That results in a first down. They're going to go short to the split end. Landry back to pass, and that is a 9 short pass on the defense for the Giants. And that's going to be a receiver, and they were wrong. So this is a short pass to the split end, and the split end being Ron Jesse. And that is a 6, and it's incomplete. So that's going to be, we're going to have a 2nd and 10. They're going to go end run with the halfback. End run with the halfback 5, possible offensive penalty. I'm so tired of these possible offensive penalties I got to check. We got to do something about that for the next game. But anyway, again, the actual penalties aren't the problem because they don't come up as much, or too much. But the possibility of them is coming up on almost every roll, which is crazy. So 5 end run on the halfback. That is going to be -7. No, they were wrong. So it's going to be 0 yards. But let's see if the Lions had a penalty. That is an 11. They didn't. So it is going to be 0 yards. And that's going to bring up a 3rd and 10 for the Lions. They're going to just go line buck with the fullback. Line buck with the fullback, 8. And let's see, that's Owens. And they were wrong, and it's 3 yards. Now, they're at the 37-yard line. Let me see if they can even attempt one. They can barely. It's 2-4 good, and they're going to try it. And it is good. Unbelievable. They make the field goal. The long field goal gives Detroit 28. And it is now 28-13, and probably, well, almost definitely, it's out of range for the Giants to come back. And the kickoff is a 2 for Detroit, and it's going to be a touchback. So they're going to have the ball, the Giants will, 1st and 10 at their 20. 2-minute warning, so the time doesn't move on this, but they've just got to try going long to the flanker. I mean, they're not going to come back anyway, but... And they are looking for the pass, so we're going to assume that they're looking nothing but the pass, and that's a 9 long pass on Snead, and that's going to be incomplete. And they're going to go long this time to the split end. Time didn't move because it was a 2-minute warning. That is a 6 long pass, and that is going to be incomplete because they were looking for it. And so now they're going to go short. They're going to have to try to dial it up and, keep the chance going here. So they're going to do a short pass to the tight end. That is a 3 short pass on the Detroit defense. And that is going to be a 14-yard gain, and it does keep the ball in possession of the Giants. They have a 1st down at the 35. They're going to take a timeout. And they're going to go long to the flanker. And that is a 5, possible offensive penalty. But let's see what 5 is on the long pass. It's going to be incomplete. Let's see if they had a penalty. That is a 3 on the Giants, and that is no penalty. So they're going to try 2nd down. And 10, they're going to go long to the split end. That is an 11, long pass, 11 on the Detroit defense. And that is going to be incomplete. And they are going to try again. They'll go to the short. They'll tighten it up a little bit, go short to the tight end to try to get the 1st down. And that is an 8, short pass 8. And that is going to be an 11-yard gain. And it is going to be a 1st down. Now the Giants are going to call a timeout. At this point, they're just trying to make the game look better. They're going to go long to the flanker. That is a 6 long pass on Detroit. That's going to be intercepted 29 yards downfield, 2-4, 11, or 12. And it is not, so it's incomplete. 2nd down, they're going to go long to the split end. And they're going to take their 2nd timeout, so time won't move again. And it's an 11, long pass, 11, and that is going to be incomplete. So, yeah, and they're going to try a short pass again, same deal. short to the flanker on 3rd and 10. And that is an 8. Short pass 8 is incomplete if they're looking for it. And time didn't move because they used their last timeout. They are going to go for it on 4th and 10. They're going to go short to the split end. Short to the split end 11 on Snead's card is incomplete. So the Lions will take over there. And time did move because they what did they do? They ran a play. That's what they did. So it's going to be end run for Detroit for their halfback 5. End run 5 on the New York defense is going to be fumble -1, 2 to 9. As a 6, they do fumble 2 to 6 or 12. They get it back. They don't. So they lose a yard, and the Giants have the ball back. But they have no timeouts. They're just going to go long. Long pass to the split end. And as a 10, long pass on Detroit's defense is receiver, and they're looking for it. So the split end is Don Herman. And that is a 4 long pass, and that's a 26-yard gain. 3, 10, 20, and 3. And they're going to, let's see, they've got 2 more plays left. They're going to go long to the flanker. Long to the flanker 8 on the defense is a receiver, and they were looking for it, obviously. And the flanker on a 7 long, that's Rich Houston, and it's incomplete. And they are going to go long again, long to the split end. That is a 7, possible defensive penalty. 7 long on Snead's card is incomplete. The defensive penalty on the Detroit team is opponent number 6. That would be on the Giants. And it's a pass. Passing situation. 6 is holding 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. And this is going to be the last play of the game. They're going long. No penalty, thank God. There's an 8, long pass 8 on Detroit. Defense is receiver. They are right, so the split end, and the split end for New York is Don Herman. That is a 9, and that is incomplete. And that's your final score. The New York Giants have gone down in defeat to the Detroit Tigers, or the Detroit Lions, sorry, on Thanksgiving Day by the score of 28-13. And that will be it for me, Sportsman Z, Bob Zolke, signing off.